Going over to the political part of the podcast, you have a Dearborn, Michigan mayor, Abdullah, telling a person they're Islamic folk, and he's hoping he hopes they move. Now, this is brought to us thanks to, specifically, Aurora McClarthan, who's reposting End Wokeness. I just can't pronounce things. Now, End Wokeness says, quote, Dearborn Mayor Abdul Hamoud told a resident, you don't belong in this city. That's, let's see here. Maximize on screen. Credit to Fox Local, which is somehow still in business. I'm actually pretty surprised.
Hezbollah.
Oh, let me pull this up really quick.
Hezbollah, bombed the embassy in Beirut, and including many Americans. So I just feel it's quite inappropriate.
You are an Islamophobe, and although you live here, I want you to know, as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city, because you are not somebody who believes in coexistence.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you look at the demographics of Michigan, especially Dearborn, if you believe in separating people based on race, and religion, you could make the argument he no longer belongs. They have imported a lot of folks to Dearborn, Michigan, especially Somalians, and someplace like Minneapolis. And yeah, so you can say it went pretty viral. Got 7.1 million views as well as 75,000 likes. Which again, Dearborn, very different. Now, this resident was actually opposing a street being named after pro-jihad, Mr. Osama Siblani? Osama Siblani, which is that name's almost as dumb as having a name like Topping. Oh, wait. Oh, nevertheless, I partially digress. And again, with Michigan changing, I'm not surprised they want to name streets after. I mean, look at Austin. They name streets after communists. If people who have committed crimes against humanity, they have that in Austin, Texas, which I always would argue is the antithesis of what Texas stands for. But nevertheless, I'm not surprised that this is happening in Michigan, especially Dearborn. I mean, so many thousands of Somalians and people of the Islamic faith have been flown in there the past couple of years, especially. And yeah, the mayor is more brazen than usual, telling him to can't wait for him to leave. And one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Elon Musk, who simply has the questioning emoji, getting 3.4 thousand likes. We also have Amelia Henderson, who says, quote, no Islamist should be allowed to hold office. And she has a meme ball, and it says, no communist or Islamist should be allowed to hold any office because they cannot pledge allegiance to the U.S. Constitution, getting 4.3 thousand likes. Valentina Gomez says, quote, I warned everyone, it's horrific to see states turning into big Islamic cesspools, either assimilate to American culture or go to your Sharia nation. I'm kidding. I probably know how to pronounce that properly, but I shan't. Sharia? Shavaya train? Wait. Shavaya? Is that the singer? I'm kidding. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, Michigan is falling, getting 1.5 thousand likes, which, well, yeah, it's been that way for decades. Crazy to think that, Detroit, Michigan was the third richest city on the planet at one point, back when American automobiles were very reliable and had over 70% of market share. Yeah, it has not been that way for a while. Dr. Shari says, quote, America is not a Muslim nation, it's a Christian nation. Islam is not compatible with Americans' values, getting 829 likes. Paul Zupa simply says, defund Michigan, this is ridiculous, getting 1.7 thousand likes. Which, yeah, in terms of what religion is spreading around the globe, Islam is trending, taking it over everywhere. The conservative alternative says, quote, if you don't celebrate people who want to destroy America, you are, quote, checks notes, Islamophobic. You have that right. The clock is ticking, folks. Our country is being invaded by a hostile foreign culture, and we don't have much time left. It says immigration without assimilation is an invasion. Getting 1,000 likes, which, well, yeah, what's Trump going to do? Again, Trump is, he promised he would deport millions upon millions. I find it a little disappointing ICE is not reporting those numbers as of this recording of this video. Probably not reporting those numbers because they're abysmally disappointed. Now, in terms of deporting Islamists or people of the Islamic faith, however you want to say it, I don't know what legal. Again, Valentina Gomez, she's an upcoming politician or aspiring politician, and she says she's going to deport all Islamists from Texas. Which, how? Again, a lot of them were imported here by Democrats. Some of them were actually immigrated here legally. And again, I think the United States, one of the reasons we are the best country on the planet, It's because of our founding fathers or Judeo-Christian values. But what legal mechanism would Valentina Gomez use to deport these people? She does not elaborate because I don't think there is a legal one. You used to be able to deport communists, which not a bad idea. Maybe we do that again. But in terms of deporting people who are Islamic, what legal mechanism would you use? No Republican has said that. Republicans are pontificating all day long about this invasion and how our culture is being decimated, and how Islamic values are in no way compatible with American values. Republicans are really good at writing angry letters and yelling at people in Capitol Hill without actually getting shit done. I don't know what legal mechanism they're planning on using. I can't think they're just using this to gather more favor before the midterms, perhaps. Now, you also have, let's see here, Dr. Shari saying, quote, interesting how all these foreigners have come here and have been giving all sorts of benefits. Then they seek out to turn the entire country into a socialist and communist nation. We need laws excluding immigrants from holding public office. They're not, these are not the same type of immigrants that came here 100 years ago. We had 188 likes, which, well, that is, I would say, very true. Now, I say very true for a couple reasons. When the United States was actually being built, hundreds of years ago, we desperately needed people to help build the country. I mean, at one point, there's so much land. Or Sharp would say, back in the day, there was so much land, so much big, beautiful land that needed to actually be cultivated and harvested and actually, taken care of. Maybe someone with a wheel could take over. Man, I don't think Trump said that precisely, but maybe it's in that effect. Again, there's so much land back in the day. The government would give you land just to go settle parts of the United States. And we needed a massive labor force. The people who came here, they didn't get government handouts. They worked like hell. Even as recent, I would argue, as the 1950s and 60s, there really wasn't the government giving away as much free shit as they usually do. My family came here legally from Cuba. And it's an instance where the joke is they escaped Fidel Castro and communist Cuba to go to the one place on planet worse than communist Cuba, Southside Detroit, which, yeah, it's actually a hellhole even back then. And again, back then, they didn't have many government handouts. They just worked like hell. They all got minimum wage jobs. They learned English. You will never see a Cuban flag in America. Cuba's a shithole. Communism has destroyed the whole land. Even the cigars aren't good anymore because they don't properly cultivate the soil because, they have capitalism. But nevertheless, not to get too nuanced into what little industry remains there after the government destroyed everything. Again, my family came here with nothing. They learned English. They didn't even bring a Cuban flag here. They flew American flags. They got jobs, went to college, back when college was more affordable, and I would argue a good ROI. And they became doctors, lawyers, and architects, and contributing members of society who are net benefits to society, not just because they don't commit crime, but, they pay taxes, which, well, granted, I'm not a fan of that, but they're not suckling at the teat that is the government. Not getting EBT cards, not getting SNAP cards, not getting free housing, free cell phones from the government. They contributed. They had kids. They helped out the community. I would argue they made the world a better place. They're also Catholic. So now, and we've seen it with every race and religion that comes to the United States, they're getting free cell phones, free room and board, cash, SNAP, EBT cards, and beyond, while taxpayers work like hell to barely keep afloat. I mean, that is a huge cultural shift. It's not just Islamics who are coming here. A lot of people are coming here getting all the free stuff, while the people who work like hell can barely make ends meet. And again, that's been happening when Republicans and Democrats are both in office. Democrats have a pretty solid track record of giving away more of our more freebies away. But again, Trump should. It's the first day he got into office. You should have been. All right, I'm becoming president right now. What shall we do first? Maybe we'll abolish the income tax and the National Firearms Act of 1934 make Topping happy. Well, obviously he didn't. But maybe he could end of all the government benefits. If you're an illegal, no more benefits. Taxpayers should get some benefit from paying taxes. They usually don't. Now, again, I think helping people who are down on their luck, who are American citizens, absolutely. I would argue the best way to do that is with your own private help, as well as nonprofits. They've been infinitely more accurate than the government. Not saying much because the government sucks. But yeah, we've seen a lack of assimilation, and you see more and more people getting free stuff. And we're $37 trillion in debt. We can't afford it anymore. There's not much upside. So again, Republicans are saying a lot of things. They got the control of the House, the Senate, the White House. They should end all these benefits today. Now, going back to the main comment section, you also have CZ, who has a pig emoji and a cross. Is that a cross? And he has a picture of a black cube and a bunch of people. It says, quote, approximately 85% of all the world's refugees are Muslims. They don't seek assimilation in the 56 Muslim countries. They only seek out asylum in non-Muslim countries. But why? Gained 1.8 thousand likes. This one got 12,000 likes. Liberty Chai says, quote, so Muslims are now kicking U.S. residents out of their cities because they're standing up against Islam. What the F happened to our country? Gained 12,000 likes, which, well, Democrats just imported a monumentous amount of Islamic people. And they got citizenship. They got on city councils. They're making laws and naming streets. The Immortal says, hates Jews, Christians, atheists, gays, dogs, bacon, wine, beer, your civilization, your culture, your traditions, your country new. Complains about Islamophobia. Getting 3.2 thousand likes, which I was going to say, I'm not a big fan of bacon. I'll eat it. I think it's an overrated meat. People go crazy about that thing. But who doesn't like bacon? Like, who hates it? You also have Del Po Rebel. Says, turns out multiculturalism was a bad idea. Gained 2.3 thousand likes. Well, the Sky has a vintage meme, or some people call them memes, more accurately, is all the Twilight Zone. And it says, quote, imagine a religion whose followers admit they want to kill you, but they say if you have a phobia, you have a phobia if you don't want to get killed. Getting 2,000 likes. Jared Marsh says toilet signs in Michigan. You have the ladies, which is just a triangle. They have gentlemen with the I forget what apparel they wear. They got 847 likes. Dolly says it's not phobia. I'm not afraid of you. Gained 579 likes. Band of Brothers has a quote from Charlie Kirk in 2022. It says, quote, there's an undeniable war on white people in the West. Getting 36. That got 36,000 likes. He did get 1.9 thousand likes now. Dan says, ironic because the mayor who doesn't belong here. Getting 1.3 thousand likes. And again, I suspect they'll probably name that street name the street there. Let's see. A lot of people are saying that guy should sue the mayor for civil rights violation. Could be kicked. Let's see. But yeah, not too many contrarian statements here. But again, I'm not surprised. This will happen to more and more cities. And also, I mean, United States citizens, they're not having enough kids. The birth rate is going down dramatically. So I suspect we'll see more of this. But let me know your thoughts because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button. I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, and a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.